Yosemite, iPads, and iMacs, oh my! Hello everyone and welcome to Friday. Although I could also say welcome to October 16th, since what I'm going to be talking about today is the October 2014 Apple event, which was 8 days ago. And usually I report on these things the day that they happen. Couldn't do it this time. Been very, very busy in the month of October, doing a lot of work, getting a lot of stuff done, which is good, but I unfortunately missed the event. Finally saw it today. A much shorter event than like WWDC. It was only 80 minutes long, and it's not covering a lot of crazy stuff, but it's still some pretty interesting stuff in there, and some stuff I want to talk about. So when they opened the event, it was talking mostly about iOS 8 and Yosemite. And the big thing with Yosemite was that it launched that day. So Yosemite was available as of that day. And this is actually kind of interesting because I'm doing this after the fact. Since Yosemite has been available, we have put Yosemite on Mal's computer. Mal's been using it for a few days now. It's running fine. No problems that we know of. We're still in the process of migrating over the data. It's going to be a little while because we're bringing stuff over and then Mal is using it to make sure that everything's working. She's also using this as an opportunity to kind of filter out anything that she didn't need before. Anyone who uses any operating system knows that after you use a computer for, a year or two, you get all this extra crap on there that you don't need. Like you have files hidden away and you're not sure if you need them, unless you're like awesome in the organization. I'm not, and Mal's not. So Mal's bringing stuff over a little bit at a time, trying to, figure out if she needs it or not. So that's going on. I've been using Yosemite for a few months because I've had it on my MacBook, but admittedly, I don't use it that often because I don't really have a reason to use my MacBook. I use my desktop. But since we've been doing this novel editing for our friend, I've been using my MacBook because we'll go over there and I'll use my MacBook. So I've been able to play around with Yosemite. I've already talked about it. I had a vlog where I talked about how much I liked it. Mao has been using it daily for a few days now, and she really loves it. She really likes it. If you have a Mac that supports Yosemite, why aren't you using Yosemite? It's a really nice update. Just visually, it's very beautiful. And I feel like if anyone was interested in getting a Mac, now is probably a great time since Yosemite is such a fresh change, at least visually, to OS X. And actually, if you want to get into a Mac, there's a piece of hardware that you could use to do that, and we'll talk about that in a second. So they opened up with iOS and OS X, and they talked about a lot of stuff that we already knew about. They wanted to show off the phone call feature, and one of the things that they really pushed, I felt like more in this particular presentation than some of the other presentations, was humor, which I appreciated because they push humor a little bit in each event that they have, but this one was just really well done. There was a lot of stuff that was really funny. It probably helped that Stephen Colbert was a part of it. They actually call up Stephen Colbert and talk to him for a little bit, and it was very, very humorous. There's a bit where he says, "You guys need to get back to work because I'm looking at my wrist, and you know what I see? My wrist," in reference to the Apple Watch, which is coming next year. So that was good. I mean, that was good and that was funny. But the reason everyone watched this event was because they knew it was going to be revealing the rumored iPad Air 2. And I want to say I'm not a fan of the iPad. It's not that I'm not a fan of the iPad. It's just I don't have one. I don't need one, and there's no reason for me to own one because my entire existence is in this house where I'm always at my computer. I can use my computer. If I'm away from my computer, I have my phone. So never really a reason that I can see that I would actually need an iPad. But still, they talked about some of the updates to the iPad. It's more powerful. It can do this. It can do that. It has a reflective coating now, which is pretty interesting. And as with pretty much any device, if you were interested in getting it, now is the time to buy because now they are updated significantly. I mean, this is a pretty big update. And it also has Touch ID on the iPad Air, which we don't have because Touch ID came on the iPhone 5S, and we have the iPhone 5, so we don't even have Touch ID. But if you're into that sort of thing, now you can get it on your iPad, so that's pretty cool. The other cool thing was the price points have changed pretty drastically. They've finally done away with the 32 gig models. The introductory models for, I think, everything now, like the phones and the tablets and everything is 16, but then it goes straight to 64. So the 32 is gone. So it's 16, 64, and 128, which is nice. Then they now have so many different tablets in their lineup that they're covering a wide variety of price points. At the very end, for $499, is the iPad Air 2, and then at the other end is the first gen iPad Mini for $250, which is pretty cool. So if you are interested in a Apple tablet, there's a price point for you, which is really neat. Obviously, the lower ones are going to have far less power, but it's just really cool that there's so many products being kept in the lineup that they can meet whatever price need that you're looking at. And then probably the most exciting thing for me, which I had read a little bit about on the internet, because you can't exist on the internet for 8 days without knowing about something like this, Retina display iMac, something that's been rumored for a long time, but was even better than we suspected. 5K screen, which is wacky, man. That's crazy. Like, I've seen firsthand a 4K monitor, and it's beautiful. Like, it's really friggin' pretty. So 5K just takes that another step further. A 27-inch 5K display. Wow. The way they pushed it that was interesting to me, even though it's future me, because there's no reason I have any use for this at all, is that you can edit a 4K video in Final Cut Pro 10 and still have room for your timeline and they're bins, but in Final Cut they call them like events now in Final Cut 10. That's awesome. That's actually crazy. Like, you can edit a 4K video and still have room for your timeline because it's a 5K display. Now, I say future Steven because present Steven doesn't shoot 4K. Present Steven will not be shooting 4K, and near future Steven won't be shooting 4K. It's going to be a while, because the only stuff we use is, we edit or we record our consoles. Even the new consoles don't output to 4K, and the only other stuff we do is we do the handheld, the point and shoots. There's not a point and shoot that will do 4K. So, and even if there was at this point in time, it would be way out of our price range. So we also have the T2i. We use the T2i for Q&As and things like that. But basically, it's going to be several years before 4K is something that I adopt personally. But in the future, I could see us using 4K stuff and also utilizing 4K screens to be able to actually edit that content. And I also see it becoming more common in homes for televisions, so you guys will actually sit down to watch vlogs, at your TV or your monitor, and it'll actually be 4K display, which is neat. That's really cool. You'll be able to see every horrifying little detail of my face. But that's far off future. For now, though, the fact that they can offer a 5K display iMac, which has also been upgraded, internally anyway, for $2,500, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, because 4K displays are expensive. They're very pricey. So to be able to get an all-in-one computer, which is a good computer, and also that 5K display for $2,500, I think that's a steal. That's really cool. The other thing, and the thing I mentioned earlier about jumping into the world of Macs, the Mac Mini got an upgrade. Which is cool because, they're like, oh, hey, that thing still exists. Here's an upgrade. But also, it got a price drop, which I think is relevant. $499. So if you've ever been interested in jumping into the world of Mac, they even said in the stream that most people's first Mac computers are Mac Minis. That's a good way to do it. $500. And the Mac Mini is a nice little computer. Jarrett just got one in August, and he loves it. He's been using a MacBook Pro for, I guess, 2 or 3 years now, and he fell in love with OS X, and he wanted to push forward with getting another computer. He got a Mac Mini, and he absolutely loves it. So for $500, that's a really great way to jump into the world of OS X if you want to do that. So, yeah, that was the stream. That was the entire thing. Now, the other rumor was that maybe we would see an update to Apple TV. Nope. That's a rumor that's continuing to exist as a rumor. I'm sure that they will update it. I think that that's a market that they want to stay in, and I know just from using the Apple TV that my parents have, it's a cool device. It's a really cool device, and it actually makes a lot of sense for us to have one, but I've been holding out for the next iteration, because we got one for my parents, and we saw how well it worked and how useful it could be. And we're like, crap, we need one of those. But we heard that, you know, they're going to probably be doing another one, so we've waited. So that's what we're waiting on, is for the next iteration to do more cool things. I guess we'll have to keep our fingers crossed that sometime in 2015 Apple will announce it. Anyway, I know that this is late. This is already 8 days late from the event, and by the time it gets to you, it'll be even later. But if you want to discuss this event, go ahead. Really curious to see what your opinion is on the 5K Retina display iMacs. You can also talk about the iPads. You can also talk about Yosemite, anything from the event, but particularly the 5K display iMacs. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's really cool. It's really freaking cool, and I think it would be interesting to have, but also, like, there's no reason to have it. Like, the computer itself is not as powerful as my Hackintosh, and I have no way of recording or editing or whatever 4K videos, so, like, it doesn't make sense for me to have, but it's still freaking cool, as with a lot of this stuff in the tech world. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we, for the charity stream. I am pumped. We're going to do one last test stream tonight to make sure everything is set up just the way we want it, and then tomorrow, 12 or more hours of Super Nintendo gaming. I'm going to be reliving my childhood. When I think of Smash Brothers, it's a 4-player game. It's not a 5-player game. It's not a 6-player game. It's not an 8-player game. It's 4 players. But the concept seems like it would work with 8 players. Die, you son of a gun! Oh, shoot. Oh God, he's gonna eat me! Also, what did he breathe on me? Am I still fine? I'm caution.